On June 13, 2025, a sudden and intense conflict erupted between Iran and Israel, two countries locked in decades of tension. What began as a surprise Israeli air campaign quickly escalated into a 12-day war that shook the region and drew global attention. Israel launched a massive air assault targeting Iranian sites, including nuclear facilities such as Natanz and Fordow, and assassinated 7 Iranian generals along with their families in their homes. According to Israel's officials, the goal was to prevent Iran from developing nuclear weapons. During the first night of the attack, almost 78 people lost their lives, most of whom were civilians. Iran, on the other hand, responded with fierce retaliation. Over the following days, Iran launched hundreds of ballistic missiles and drones targeting Israel's cities, military bases, and infrastructure. Iranian officials emphasized that their nuclear program is peaceful, aimed at energy and scientific research, and condemned Israel's attack as violation of their sovereignty. Missile barrages struck places like Tel Aviv, Haifa, and Beersheba, causing casualties and damage. Iran's response was framed as self-defense against unprovoked aggression, reflecting the deep mistrust and hostility between the two nations. The conflict quickly affected civilians on both sides. With casualties, injuries, and widespread fear, the international community watched anxiously, fearing the escalation would spiral into a wider regional war. Over the 12 days, the conflict saw multiple rounds of strikes and counter-strikes, escalating rapidly across multiple domains. This is the war timeline. On June 13th, the first day of the war, Israel launched a major air assault targeting Iranian nuclear and military sites, killing key figures and crippling critical infrastructure. Simultaneously, Israeli intelligence reportedly conducted extensive cyber attacks inside Iran, disrupting Iranian air defense and missile systems. Some reports indicate that Iran's response was slowed and disorganized because their defense networks were hacked and partially disabled before the airstrikes began. These cyber operations may have blinded Iranian radar and missile launch sites, allowing Israeli jets to penetrate Iranian airspace with less resilience. Israeli forces also allegedly used covert operations inside Iran to launch drone attacks on sensitive targets near Tehran. From June 14th to June 15th, Iran and its allied Houthis retaliated with missile and drone attacks on Israeli cities and military targets. Iran's missile attacks included the first use of the Sejil-1 solid-fuel missile against Israel. However, Israel's Iron Dome missile defense system intercepted many incoming projectiles, though there were reports of temporary disruption caused by Iranian cyber attacks aimed at Israel's air defense communications. From June 16th to June 22nd, the conflict intensified with continued missile barrages and airstrikes. Israel conducted further airstrikes on Iranian nuclear sites and weapon depots, while Iran launched additional missile salvos targeting Israeli military bases and critical infrastructure. Meanwhile, proxy groups aligned with Iran in Lebanon and Syria launched rocket attacks on northern Israel. On June 23rd, after intense fighting and diplomatic pressure, US President Donald Trump announced a ceasefire agreement between Iran and Israel.
Yesterday that we won the war. Oh God, we won the war.
Calling it the 12-day war. The ceasefire was fragile at first, with accusations of violations from both sides. However, by June 25th, the truce largely held. This conflict highlights the complexity of Middle Eastern geopolitics and modern warfare. Iran insists its nuclear program is peaceful and views Israel's strikes and cyber attacks as unjustified aggression. Israel, on the other hand, sees Iran's nuclear ambitions as an existential threat that must be stopped preemptively. Right now, as I'm making this video, the ceasefire is still holding, but there is no guarantee that it will last long. There is a strong possibility that the war could start again, and this time it might not be limited to just two countries.